Welcome to the Extraordinary Podcast, where we identify God's uncommon work in common life. Recognizing God's work requires intentionality, but articulating it motivates and inspires. Don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. In today's episode, I have a conversation with Teresa Ioerger, essentially about how Jesus changed her life and helped her find healing and reconciliation through difficult circumstances. So let's get into the conversation with Teresa. Teresa, thank you for being a guest on our podcast today. We appreciate you taking the time to share and just to invest in the listeners today. So we appreciate that. As we begin, can you share a little bit about your current job and what you like about it?
Yes, well, what don't I like about it? I love it. It's a perfect fit for me. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me here. I am currently one of the activity directors at Klein Center here in Burlington, Iowa. And it's great because I, get to have a lot of fun during the day. It's a lot of work too. People don't get that there's some work to it also, but I'm very blessed to be in that position, and I really enjoy doing it. Yeah.
Now, there's a nursing home, or there's parts of it that's a nursing home, the Klein Center.
Yeah, it's mainly all nursing home, but there is a skilled also.
So some people might be a little uncomfortable with the nursing home setting.
Mm-hmm.
Partially doesn't bring good memories and those types of things.
Sure.
Can you give a story or two of encouragement to why it's not a discouraging place?
Yeah. Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is we're more than likely all going to hopefully get there one day. I mean, so it's a good, it's not a bad place. Like, I know what you're saying. It has kind of that stigma to it, but it's actually, it's just a lot of fun to be there. And it's just, I feel like as much as I pour into my elders, they pour into me as well. And I just glean a lot of wisdom off them. And so I just really take advantage of anything they have to offer as far as just their knowledge, and just they've been through so much life that it's almost like an open history book. And I love history, and I love to hear their stories. And, I just think that could be my dad or my mom in this position. And so I just want to treat them all with respect and dignity that I would want my parents treated with. And it's really not scary or anything. I mean, they're just like any one of us. And I know sometimes it is difficult, though, when you've been through those circumstances where, like you said, it might just bring back kind of bad memories or things like that. But really, they just all need love, just like any of us do. And they're in their end days generally when they get to that point. And so they need that extra measure even of love, I feel. So, yeah.
Well, you have such a positive attitude, and you've talked about how much you love your job and the fun experience you've had with that. And so I appreciate you sharing about your work there. Mm-hmm. But you do have a positive attitude. Oh. How do you maintain that?
Well, I tell you, it is a choice to choose joy. It really is. Yes, I have bad days just like everyone else, but I have worked a lot in the special needs field and also with the elderly. And, almost every single day they are going through life with aches and pains. And a lot of them still, they just have so much grace about them. And it's such a testimony to me. And it's just so inspiring. And, what a good example they are. And so it's hard for me to, look at them and think, what do I have to complain about? Like, seriously, like, they have to wait to go to the bathroom sometimes for a little while because we're kind of short-staffed sometimes. And even with the special needs, I mean, they go through so much poking and prodding and in and out of the hospital, and, and they always have a big smile on their face. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, what right do I have? The Lord's blessed me so much with just, I can see, I can hear, I can walk and talk. And so I just have to, when I focus on that and think about that and how happy my special needs kiddos can be and my elderlies, they can be. And I just try not to take life for granted. And I just think life's too short to be miserable. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's a challenging perspective, and I think in a positive way. So it's good to be challenged like that. Now you mentioned about the Lord has blessed you or has given you these things that you are able to do. Can you tell us as much as you're comfortable with about your spiritual journey?
Sure. Well, I was not churched growing up. I was dedicated in the Nazarene church, actually. My grandmother was Nazarene, and I was dedicated in the Peoria, Illinois area. But I did not regularly go to church. My parents, they just didn't really go to church. My dad was big into sports, and he ran a trophy/sporting goods shop, and all his time and energy really was spent with that. He was a entrepreneur, and it was pretty much him by himself. So the weekends he was at the shop making trophies and just trying to make it work. So my mom was working two jobs a lot of the time. So when I did go to church as a child, it was usually with my grandmother in a Nazarene church, and then I met Bill, and he was cradle Catholic, and so I had to convert in order to get married in the Catholic church, which it was a pretty big church, and I needed somewhere to hold all the people that we invited. So yeah. So anyways, I just did that because I just thought it was the right thing to do at the time, and it was good. But we went, and it was just very difficult because my kiddos were kind of wild, shall we say? Well, high-spirited maybe. So like they don't really have children's church, and so I was spending most of my time correcting the kids, and I really didn't get much from the sermon because it just, I was too busy focused on the kids. So, and that's not on the church at all. That's on us and our parenting, because I just had no control over them for a while. But then we had a lot of life happen to us very early on in our marriage. Things had started. As you guys know, Bill was an alcoholic. He was. And so when we had issues, I'd want to go talk to someone, and we'd talk to a priest, and it just, I don't know, I just felt like there was no real accountability with the Lord with Bill. Something was amiss, and it was not on any religion, church, nothing like that. It was on our end. And so when we split up 2 times during the first 15 years of our marriage. Like, I literally moved out and took the kids with me. And after the last time, I feel like the Lord just picked our family up and said, I'm going to give you a fresh start in Iowa. And so we decided to move to Waterloo, Iowa, which he had a job at John Deere at that time. He went from Caterpillar Foundry to John Deere, and that was such a blessing because I still wasn't even sure I was going to stay with him, but we had come from a very small town, and they knew every single detail about us, even more than probably the truth. And I just felt like it was very toxic in that area, and I was so desperate to get out of that area. I was like, I might just stay with them for a while and see what happens. It'd be better than sticking here in the muck, where we're toast. And so we went to the Waterloo area, and I did tell Bill, I said, I just feel that I need to try something different with church. Like, I really felt the Lord trying to direct me and call me. And so anyways, he said, you know what, I'm gonna go with you wherever you go, because I said, you can still go to your church, but I need something different in my life. And so we went to a Faith Assembly of God, and our whole life changed. Like, we just met Jesus head on there. I mean, those people, they did not judge us and our craziness. They prayed for us. They prayed for our children. They asked us to lunch. They met for coffee at Panera. They prayed with us and taught us how to pray and just how to be obedient, and just how they just showed us the love of Jesus. Like, it was just amazing. It was just a whole different experience than we had ever had before. And I just feel like God's hand has been on our journey like this whole way, and he still is. And I don't think he's done with us yet. I don't know. We're movers and shakers, I think. So But anyway, getting off the, yeah.
So your life changed
Yes.
when you started with that church. How
Dramatically.
What are the different ways that you have served in the church over the years?
Well, they actually put me in children's ministry like pretty quickly. I didn't really know a lot, but I think they trusted me so much, and they knew I had a heart for the kiddos. And I feel like now that I'm a little wiser, I feel like they knew that I would learn through doing children's church at the level I needed to learn at. And so yeah, I accepted. I said yes, and so it did. It taught me so much. Just because remember, I really wasn't church, so I didn't know a lot of the basic Bible stories that most children know. Like I didn't know them until I was an adult teaching it. So yeah, it really grew me. It grew me quite a bit, actually, pretty quickly, and I was also pretty hungry for it. And like I said, we had wonderful mentors there that really took time with us on a weekly basis. You know, the girls would go meet for coffee, and we would just, you know, when they would pray, I would pass at first because I wasn't comfortable really even praying out loud, but I'll pray anytime, anywhere now. But, you know, so yeah, I think it's just been a huge season, like this last 12 years of growth spiritually. It's been amazing. I just love Jesus so much, and he's done nothing short of a miracle in our lives, in our family's life. So
those who are listening, Bill was on the podcast episode 2, I believe, and
I see where he ranks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
And he explained about his transformation story, which is powerful. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you, why did you seek reconciliation? And because to say Bill made some pretty poor choices would be an understatement.
Bill was a rascal. Yes, he still is a little bit of a rascal, but that's okay. Not in the same way, though.
And not to say that, I mean, every relationship, there's two people that contribute to the issue. So I'm not saying, maybe you are perfect, I don't know, but...
Thank you.
but I mean, no. I want to make sure we recognize Bill made some pretty detrimental choices.
Yeah.
But you still decided to seek reconciliation.
Yeah, so my parents got a divorce, and being a child of a divorce, it was terribly difficult, and I just seen, like, my whole life, even adult life, my dad regretted his choices that he made. He was unfaithful to my mom, and a couple different times, and after a couple times she said, no, I'm not having this anymore. And it was, you know, probably the right choice for her, I don't know, but I just seen the regret and the love that they still had for each other. Like I could sense that, and it was just a shame to me. I thought after I really started you know, learning more about Jesus and you know, more of the kingdom things, I thought, man, what a force for the Lord, like, our family could have been. Like, had we really known the Lord back then, and my parents would have stayed together, because they are my biggest blessing in life. Like, they're great examples. Even through a divorce, they really did put their children first. I mean, so I'm very blessed in that way. But I never wanted my children to go through that pain, and just... you know, that's just so painful. Like, I just never wanted them to experience it. I wanted them to one day have successful marriages. And I thought I had some pretty unhealthy thinking with that, honestly, though. I felt like at my expense of my happiness, I was just going to stay with Bill for my children's sake. Not real healthy thinking. But then after really coming to the Lord and Bill's willingness to come to the Lord, because I thought, oh, this is going to pass. He'll, you know, the shoe will fall again, and we'll be back in the same way. And I'm eventually going to have to make some tough choices, you know, and, but I just kept hoping, you know, and so, when he started going to church in Waterloo, there was a real shift in him, and I was just so grateful. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, I stayed with him initially out of obligation to my children. But then once we started going to church, it was more like, I just remember being in the shower almost every day, praying to the Lord, help me to forgive my husband and love him like a wife should love her husband, and that I could just truly love him again, and not be resentful or bitter. That, yes, I can say I forgive you, but, like staying in that forgiveness is not always easy. Like sometimes people say, I'm sorry, okay, well, I forgive you, but then they want to start, bringing things back up. And once you forgive someone, it's wiped clean, just like Jesus, as far as the east is to the west. I mean, it's done, it's over. And so I had to start thinking like Jesus and get past myself. And to answer your question, I was not perfect either. It was very easy to blame the alcoholic because, like I said, the whole town knew what he did, because he would tie one on. And I mean, he was very, very verbal and just very, he just had no boundaries when he was drinking. And so, so it was very easy to think, oh, what a jerk he is to her. And look at, she's a saint. She's, raising all those kids basically on her own. But no, I had some selfishness. I mean, I wasn't always the best housekeeper. I mean, I think I had some issues I had to work on. Not that it excuses Bill's behavior at all, but I did have a lot of issues that I needed to work on myself, that I just wasn't mature enough to accept or understand at the time. And so the Lord just really showed me that one day. It was like looking in a mirror and thinking, oh my gosh, like I even thought I was kind of perfect, but I'm really not, like, thank you, Jesus, for showing me, who I am, so that I can work on being a better person. None of us are perfect. We're never going to be, but, I was willing to put the work in and learn what the Bible said that I was, who I am through Christ. And Bill was doing the same work ahead of me, actually. And so with both of us on the same page, wanting to, check out this Jesus guy a little deeper, and then we started learning more about restoration, and just we were very open to it. We wanted to make it work. I was pretty bitter for a while, but like I said, I just had to pray that I could get past that. And it took a long time, really. I mean, I could put a happy face on and tell him, yeah, I love you too. And I did. I always loved him. Like, I always cared about him. I remember, him really doing some major screw ups, and I was just thinking, gosh, is like, when we were separated, I'm like, is he eating, or like, is his laundry clean? Or, it was just crazy, but it does come to a point then too, where the flip side of all this is, you can't let your sons think it's okay to treat their wife like that and be able to get away with it. That's not good either. That's not healthy. That's not godly. But we didn't know the Lord, So it's just a total game changer. Like, life with Jesus and life pre-Jesus, like, we're not even the same people. So
there's a lot to unpack there with that's I think very powerful and challenging. And one of the things is the journey of forgiveness, specifically of, there are some hurts that we have that require time to heal. Mm-hmm. And it's important we recognize that, because we're not emotionless robots. Mm-hmm. But there's a balance between taking time to heal and forgiving. And when we forget, like, actually forgive the person when we say we forgive you. Yeah. And I think, and I'm not sure if this is completely accurate, but as you said, you had to ask God daily to help me forgive my husband.
Yes.
And I think if we are doing that, I think that shows a healthy spiritual progress in our lives. That we're acknowledging a deep wound or deep hurt, but yet, Jesus, we're trying to figure this out, but we need you to step in.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Right? Jesus stepped in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so just such powerful concept of that. You were seeking Jesus and Bill was seeking Jesus, and what that led to was reconciliation.
Yes.
And when Jesus is at the center of what we do,
there's power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, restoration happens. It also gives us a new perspective on ourselves.
Yes.
Because you talked about how you spent time figuring out who you were in Jesus, and that can change things because we can blame the other person. Man, that's so. Geez, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that section. Just you talking right there, just because very powerful and challenging to me. So thank you for your transparency with that. Now there may be someone listening who is staying with someone or is in a unhealthy relationship, whether it's marriage or some other type of relationship, for unhealthy ways. Do you have any words of encouragement for them?
Yeah, I would say try to seek out a strong mentor, same-sex strong mentor. And I would just, hopefully it would be someone who is following the Lord and could give you sound biblical advice, because on the world's terms, I'm telling you, all my best friends wanted me to dump him. Like, they wanted it to be over with. They thought he was the most rotten thing ever. And if I would have took their advice, we would have been divorced probably 3 times. I mean, so anyways, I just feel that when people are in these challenging, unhealthy relationships, they really need to learn their true identity. And your true identity is only in Jesus Christ. Like, if you're trying to live in the world and still of the world, you're probably gonna sink every time. I mean, it has to be Jesus. There's really no other way, because he is the truth, and we stand on that truth in what he tells us we are, and we're masterpieces in his eyes, and we're worthy. We're worthy of respect, and we're worthy of love and gentleness and kindness and all of those fruits of the Spirit. And I will say too that I was struggling with, how am I going to know, like, he is truthful and honest? Like, because he's pulled the wool over my eyes so many times, and I wanted to believe it so much. But I will tell you, ladies or men, that look up the fruit of the Spirit. I think it's Galatians 5. Look that up and check out the fruit of the Spirit. And if they have those qualities, that's the one for you. If they do not, you might want to think twice, because unless they're open and willing to get help and try to strive towards that, and you can't do it for them. That's got to be their own choice. You cannot do it. I can't even do it for my children, and I wish I could, but I can't. But, really look into that, dive into those fruits of the Spirit, because that's like a human lie detector test to me. That's what I thought. When I read that, it was like game changer for me. Like, I'm like, if he keeps possessing these things, I'm going to know, like, he's right with the Lord, and it was so basic. It was childlike, but I just didn't know, because I hadn't been raised in it. So it was like a huge aha moment. It was like a gold mine for me, better than gold, So I know that, if things are kind of amiss, I know, like, even with me, I mean, I can not show him the fruits of the Spirit too. Like, that's on both sides of the coin there. Like, so I have to keep myself in check with the fruit of the Spirit. Like, okay, what am I really acting like? Am I acting like a woman of the world, or am I going to be like a godly woman, a virtuous woman? And so I just need to make sure that I am staying in line with those fruits of the Spirit. So,
would you say that you're better, however you define better, because you found reconciliation in your marriage?
Well, yes.
So my point is, was it worth all the effort?
It was worth everything. It was worth everything. I feel that, I just think, like, man, what if I didn't try that one last time? And he was serious, I mean, I don't know, something deep in me though just couldn't really let it go, but it was really getting to the very, very unhealthy state. So, I don't know, like, you really just have to be really in deep prayer and have people praying for you if you're in that unhealthy place, and just really be listening to the Lord on that. But yes, I'd say every day I just think, wow, like, I just can't believe it. Like, Bill's ornery still, but you know what? Like, he loves me very much. I love him very much. There's no other person on earth for either one of us. And I mean, it just, what we've been through, and not just with our marriage, but we've had some kiddos with some issues, and our son is in jail. We are very transparent with that, and he doesn't mind us sharing because he's going to have his own testimony one day. And I will tell you, our son is more free in jail today than he's probably been in his whole life. And I believe that there's a lot of people in jail that are more free than a lot of Christians walking around, So I'm not really ashamed of anything that we've been through. I feel like it's all part of our testimony, and our kids are going to have their own testimony. We bleed for our kids, and it's hard watching your kids go through things, but they are on a journey with the Lord, and we can't do it for them. And I just, the Lord said, just hope of a mustard seed for our kids. That's all we need. And I believe in his promises for our whole family. Like, he's made a covenant with our whole family, and I believe we're going to see great things come to pass in our children and our grandchildren and generations to come, because Bill chose to break those generational curses when he chose Jesus Christ. So
I agree, and I say praise the Lord for that. Mm-hmm. I will say you also are part of that.
Oh,
you chose Jesus as well, which has generational impact as well. And one of the reasons I asked is, was it worth it? Is I am pretty convinced that most, if not all, marriages look better. You put on a false facade at times, in the sense of people. Every relationship has difficulties, right, has struggles, and so I'm sure there are people that I am unaware of that are going through difficult times, and I just know your story and the healing that God has given you to say that if both are seeking Jesus, miracles can happen.
Absolutely.
And so I just want to affirm that, and thank you for your willingness to share and give us that hope today.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share? I know I didn't know if I cut you off anywhere. Are there any other things that just you felt worthwhile sharing today?
I just feel that we all have choices to make. And I mean, when you really read the word forgiveness, we're called by the Lord to forgive. But if it's not from the right heart, let's face it, I mean, is that really forgiveness? Mm-hmm. So it is a choice to truly, truly forgive and just let it go. And, you can't forgive someone and keep throwing things back in their face. You just need to be praying for them and, let the Lord do his work. Give it a little time. So, but joy also is a choice. I just feel like everything we have choices with, how are we going to deal with it? And, when we're truly following the Lord, yes, we live in the world, but we're not of the world. We're called to be set apart from the world, and we need to be looking different than most people. And if we're not, we need to kind of check ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's another thing is, we need to learn to self-govern ourselves better. And then I don't think we'd have a lot of the issues that we're having, even in the church and in Christian families. And like I said, we have issues in our own family. Nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we have a lot of choices that we have to make, and it's up to you to choose. Yeah. So. Yep.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah. And exactly.
But Jesus wants us.
Absolutely.
Regardless of where you are.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. He wants us. Yeah.
There's room for you.
Yeah. So. That's right.
Well, thank you for being on our show today. Thank you for sharing and being a source of encouragement and hope to me and those who listen. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. Be on the lookout for how God does uncommon work in common life. And please subscribe to never miss an episode.